We're on the clock now with a minute to talk about some other issues that didn't quite make our top 10 list, but these are really good. First up, the Bernalillo County Treasurer's Office is facing investigations and more questions about investment practices. It's left the state's biggest county in financial turmoil. According to the state auditor, with slashed budgets and projects put on hold, and Rachel Sams, the State Securities Division is also investigating the office, but Treasurer Manny Ortiz says he doesn't expect much to come from all this. And we've talked about that in this table here for a few weeks now. It just seems to me the same theme keeps coming up. The county is very vulnerable right now, it seems to me, with this situation. It's like a suit out there waiting to happen that's scaring the mess out of everybody.
That's exactly what I've been thinking about. You have a lot of risk here. You know, the county is going to lose out in some way, whether it's the parties suing each other, whether it's just the work that isn't getting done because the parties are, you know, at kind of a standoff, or whether it's money that will be lost ultimately in the investments.
That's right. Interesting look about New Mexico politics, isn't it? Kind of all reduces down to the situation. A lot of themes.
Treasurers?
Yeah.
Treasurer? I read actually a story that was on the TV stations. It was a piece, a video piece, but also a long 4,000-word article, and it reminded me of previous kind of scandals from other agencies, state agencies, frankly. Yes, it has real-world consequences, but it also has this kind of like, what went wrong here?
Right.
And is there a bit of a relational stuff going on that maybe is not?
That's right. Russell, years ago, people talked about city-county unification here, and as a way to kind of combat some of the stuff, just start blending some of these things together. Is this a way towards that path in some way?
Oh, we'll have the discussion, but whether it'll happen to be a totally different issue. People will bring it up. I think the complexity on public is largely lost.
Right.
I think a lot of people will see it, well, it's just my inept government messing up again.
That's right.
Especially after a number of cases like this.
Yeah, interesting. New Mexico often ranks low on various lists, as we've discussed here. But this time we hit rock bottom. The Annie E. Casey Foundation put us dead last for child well-being. However, Human Services Secretary Cindy Squires didn't get that memo and said in an email that hunger, quote, was not an issue in New Mexico. Gwyneth, what does these things say about our priorities? We're talking about our children here. Do we have our priorities straight here?
You know, I think the problem is that the face of hunger has changed. And when we think about the Great Depression and families standing in soup lines, people who had jobs, lost jobs, and really could not afford a bowl of soup, that's not the way hunger looks today. And I think that's very deceiving for people. You know, I did a piece here at KNME on the Storehouse down on Broadway, and people were very generous in letting us film them as they came to pick up their food. These are people who look like you and me. People who we would see in the store and never think twice that they don't have enough food to eat. So it's easy for some people not to recognize that there are so many people in New Mexico who do not have access to healthy food on a regular basis.
That's a good point. You know, interesting, poverty has moved to the suburbs in a lot of parts of our country. It's interesting. I go, we're a little short on time on this one, but your sense of this one, quickly, if you would.
With children, you know, in covering politics, I have to say that children should be at the center of political dialogue and trying to solve problems, but I cannot tell you how many times in multiple states that I've heard, we're doing this for the children. Right. And they're really not.
We've had the year of the child here from a previous governor. I mean, that year sort of came and went. Going to hold you guys there a little short on time. Now, New Mexico is a short of dentists, as we all know, and the far-flung rural nature of the state can make it a huge challenge to get dental care, but one guy decided to take this into his own hands. With a car and tools in a dirty tackle box, he was known as you know, El Dentista. He was arrested and accused of practicing without a license. And Rachel, was very interesting. The media made a lot of with a creepiness factor, but you know what? There was a very obvious underlying story is that people cannot afford to go to the dentist. And where there's a void, somebody will fill it. Whether it's in the back of the car with a tackle box, someone's going to fill this void.
Absolutely. When you have a very vulnerable population, you know, the likelihood of scams, someone preying on them is just higher.
That's right.
We had a bill at the legislature last year that would have increased access to dental care by dental hygienists instead of dentists.
That's right.
And the Dental Association defeated it. That's right. They were absolutely adamant that this should not happen.
Yeah.
And this is also happening in reservations. Reservations are saying we want some of these hygienists to work, especially in areas like Alaska, to expand that, and the lobbying groups has presented.
And in the context is that dental care, gum disease is related to heart disease, systemic stuff. This is very important.
Nutrition, obviously, for obvious reasons, absolutely, yeah. You know, I wonder, again, from a business standpoint, when you hear things like this, it's like a sign. How does a business person supposed to internalize this? You know, it's a tricky one.
It goes really deeply to, I think it goes back to the child well-being dropping to 50th too. It's just a psychological low. Where are we in this economy?
Yeah, new subject. Global fans were stunned when basketball coach Steve Alford announced he was leaving to coach at UCLA just weeks after agreeing to a 10-year deal here with the University of New Mexico. Now, UNM sought $1 million, and Alford agreed to pay $625,000, right around their trip. Money became the big part of the negotiations of the story, but I say there was another story underneath it. I'm not a huge college sports fan. We have someone at the table here who covers this stuff. Sorry about that. Was it a great, it was almost like a carpetbagger feeling. It annoys people when people come in for big money and then bigger money comes along.
Yes and no. You know, I am a college football guy because I'm from the deep south, so the SEC is a
Sure.
So coaches go and come all the time, and so for me, did I think that Alford was going to stay here a long time?
Right.
No.
Right.
And UCLA, hello, John Wooden. I mean, 11 championships, and
Right.
then there was another one, 12. So
Right.
it didn't surprise me that he decided to go to UCLA.
Like, one of these things is, I know there's a lot of heartburn on campus. Like, these men make all this money.
Yeah.
We have all these other needs at UNM. We have these itinerant coaches coming and going. It doesn't sit well with a lot of people on campus sometimes.
No, but you know what I found surprising about that is his repeated denials
Right.
that he was going
Right.
to leave. And we have a saying in journalism, how do you know when your source is lying to you? His lips are moving.
Russell, you're a college sports covering guy. What did you make of this one?
You know, it was so covered so well here in New Mexico. People were talking about it. I was in LA when he came. Nobody cared.
Oh, no
Yeah, yeah.
kidding.
Nobody
Yeah.
cared. He went to UCLA. The hiring of the USC basketball coach made much
was
more
a bigger
waves
deal,
than the
right.
USC. And I was telling folks, I'm in Los Angeles. Nobody cares that he went to UCLA. No one's
Yeah.
saying anything.
Huh.
It was like two different worlds.
Huh. Well, thanks to all our panelists for helping us recap 2013. Join us next week when the line offers some predictions on the big news stories, possibly, for 2014. Thanks for joining us as we wind down 2013. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. And be sure to find us on social media by searching New Mexico in Focus, and check out past interviews and bonus material on our YouTube channel and at newmexicoinfocus.org. I'm Gene Grant. We'll see you next week in the new year in Focus.